Hello friends! Once again, I am glad to welcome you to the Captain Herman channel. Today, we will have a continuation of our magnificent journey through Raja Ampat. The first stop will be just a stop near the big island of Pham, between two small islands. And here we just came to see what kind of water area, and spend the night, and go further to Botanta Island. The stop here is interesting because you anchor at a 10 to 12 meter depth in the strait. A little bit of a fast approach because you see a shoal in front of the boat and you need to go through a 6-meter section. In principle, it does not look dangerous, but nevertheless, always when you have 30 meters there. And then it goes sharply there 4 or 5. There may be some coral heads, and you need to be very careful. In other words, they are always such visits. Well, such a little bit hold the nerve. Nearby on these islands, there is on the left only a small such type of resort abandoned, and, as it were, these islands are not inhabited. We'll only be here one night, and then get on with it already. Well, that's enough of this uninteresting Pham. We move out and go to the big island, which is located in the south of Raja Ampat. This is Botanta. And anchoring here will be very simple. So, well, here we are at another great place. By the way, here is a great spot for diving from Manta Ray. These are big, huge ramps. Sometimes there are 6 meters in size. Such sheets are flying. In general, we were promised tomorrow we will be able to go and see them. Because I think it will be something incredible and super interesting. In the meantime, let me show you how everything is here from a bird's eye view. After walking only 15 miles, which is about 3 or 4 hours, depending on the conditions, we enter the western part of the island of Botanta and anchor here on a shallow stove. Such anchoring here is not very complicated. You just need to be careful not to anchor in the corals, but a little further from the reef itself, there is sand there. So you can anchor, just visually look where there is a sand patch, and throw it there. There is a magnificent reef next to us. I remind you that we came here to look at big stingrays, manta rays, and we want to dive. That is, we will take a dive tour of the local depths here, and this is what we will do here. Because we really want to see and say there is a magnificent underwater world here. But we will find out the magnificent Leon, we will see what they can offer us here, because I am one we are diving. Basically, the main water areas, which in our case we snorkel, because diving, if there really is something great there, yes, we do. But in principle, the main water areas are enough at the depth level, which you can lubricate with a tube to look at. Well, inspired by the stories about how many reefs there are here, we are ready to go push. So we came to the local dive center and said that we wanted to participate in this event. Therefore, we were given loaded cylinders. Since we have all our own equipment, we climbed to the bottom to see what would happen there. By the way, I want to say that we went down there, in my opinion, 28 meters, and looked at what would be at the very bottom. At the very beginning, when we started to descend, as we were warned, there was a very serious current here. At shallow depths, where a safety stop usually occurs, there was of course no current there. But then, as we drove up to the dump, there was already such a serious current there. And the deeper we went, the less interesting it was. That is, of course, we met these silfish ladies and other inhabitants of the underwater world here, but to say that something surprised and amazed us right here is not. When we went down to full depth, there are from 24 to 28 winds. You see what the bottom is here. In fact, all the beauty is located at a depth of up to 10 meters from the surface, so most of what is here, you can just perfectly snorkel yourself. And if you are already climbing to the bottom, then there are great nudibranches here. These are Dina's favorite nudibranch clams, for which she actually climbed there. But I remind you that we climbed here to look at the magnificent mantis, but so far, we have found only small nudibranchs on the bottom. Such nudibranchs that have completely different bizarre shapes. And now you see one so gorgeous, which we started filming at the bottom. The problem with shooting at great depth is that the colors change very much. And since we dive without light, it's very difficult to take pictures. Therefore, this material cannot be said to be directly unique, but we were able to see such small, magnificent animals after all. We were also incredibly surprised to see these clownfish at the bottom. As you can see, we have already told you before, this female, who protects her nest, she came out of the anemone in order to pile on us. The color of these magnificent fish is such a strange yellow. They are not red, but I understand that this is due to the lack of light at the bottom. Why they decided for themselves that it would be comfortable and great for them at such a depth, it's hard for me to say, but look, on such a deserted bottom, on which there is nothing, there is one anemone like this, and these clownfish swim in it. That is, for me, this is the most ridiculous story that can only be. And here, in fact, is the nest in which they are located. After lifting from such a decent enough depth, you need to make a safety stop, that is, it is a stop, so that the pressure inside your body normalizes. Well, there are many other factors that affect it. In general, it is necessary that you, for safety, stop at a 3-meter depth there and stand for a little while, to normalize everything that is inside you in terms of pressure, nitrogen, and so on. At this depth, what we usually see when we snorkel, we certainly saw a lot of great things. For example, this rock fish, which is so colorful, very beautiful, very dangerous, because we have already told you before. It has poisonous needles, and if you take them with your hands, you can die, because it has a very, very dangerous poison. Well, here's a lionfish, a linefish. She lives here too, and there were several of them there. We took pictures of them, although it can't be said that this is my favorite fish. Although it is beautiful in principle, but it is a terrible parasite. A bunch of small fish. In general, it's cool that if you have adjusted your buoyancy, you can stand at this 3-meter depth and watch everything that happens around you like on TV. That is why Safe Stop was much more interesting here than diving itself. Well, now we're done diving. And when we asked our instructor, so actually, where's Mantu? He said, sorry mister, but mantis today. Therefore, as it turned out, we did not see these mantis in this spot.
Breathtaking sight, flying over islands where the waters are clear. Today we slow down and adventure is near. Look down below, the reef so bright. Captain Sergi leads us to new heights. sights from lush green jungles to sandy shores. We're here to show you there's so much more. In Indonesia, where the wonders never cease, we'll share with you this beauty and peace. Every mountain, every tree, these islands are pure poetry. Oh, friends, forever it's true. From the skies we'll show it all to you. Oh, friends, forever it's true. Over Indonesia we'll show it all to you.
And so, near this magnificent place, we decided to see what would be under the water here. That's why Dina and I split up. I just went diving to see, because the reef here is very beautiful and incredibly interesting, magnificent, and it is small. There is 10 meters in length, but there is such a concentration of everything that I was impressed. One put on scuba gear, put on fins, and went to look around the neighborhood. What interesting things can be seen here? About what she saw, she will tell you later and show you on her own. And what I saw, it will be now. By the way, you may ask why I call mantis on large manta ray, but everything is very simple. They are very often called mantis in the plural, but in general, of course, it is manta ray. And that's how it is written now on the screen, that's how it is pronounced. And now here's a good example of why I love snorkeling more than diving. Because when you climb into the depths, the only thing that's really cool you can see is big fish, well, or some kind of such a big nature in its global view. And at a depth of up to 5 meters, there is everything that receives energy from water, from plankton, from the sun. And there is the greatest biodiversity of plants, animals, corals, and much more, which is very cool to observe. And you don't even have to dive and to swim on the surface and observe these magnificent thousands of small fish that are hiding or are crawling out of the corals that live their lives. And since we have already begun to understand what kind of fish does, then you already look more consciously and look at how these fish behave. Why, how they communicate with other representatives of their own species or another species. And I also think we will soon make a video and tell you about the flora that is also present on corals, because it is very interesting. It is very diverse and very rich. And if you understand what it is that you see, and not just some red stuff or some stick with a hole there, then this completely changes your understanding of what is underwater here. In general, this reef is small, about 10 meters long. On it, all living creatures are somewhere up to 5 meters. It cascades because it is located under large rocks that are part of the island, but there is an incredible amount of coral growing on it. And hard corals, and soft ones, and some polyps and plants that cover the corals. And all this is so great that I want to spend a lot of time here. And I actually sat here, probably for about 2 hours. Although I'm a little fan of being underwater, I usually pulls Dina for us to spend time together here in this format. But here I was certainly impressed. And after swimming there 10 to 15 meters, here you see now such a private little beach. A beach that you can only get to from the water. There are practically no people here, and only tourists who sometimes come to this hill of Stee can go diving. But this wall is not the place where everyone comes, so it's all at my disposal. I've already swum here underwater. In principle, it's been about an hour, and I'm sitting here. and worrying a little bit about where our diver is because I understand that she does everything efficiently. But it's already been a long time, and here I went out on a rock to watch. There's something incomprehensible here. There is a path that goes to the edge of the cliff. The problem is that I'm barefoot, without slippers, because I only counted on diving. Well, here is some kind of improvised platform. He is standing on a cross, looking at the water. I don't know what it is, but it overlooks the place beneath me. Here you see now is the reef on which I sailed, and so can be viewed from a height, then go away the decline of the depths. And it's the place where I spent time. And now Dina will come and tell you what she saw interesting in her journey.
Yes, I liked it.
Such a good fellow. Nothing, don't panic, we're headed where? You take off your skates.
The skates were beautiful there.
In general, this place seemed attractive enough to suppress here as well. The depths are not very big, and we decided to see what's at the bottom. That is, they began a gradual descent. It turned out that there are different types of algae, corals, fish, that are already unusual for our eyes. But in principle, of course, the brightness is not the same as on the surface. Well, we saw all sorts of interesting things. For example, these huge sponsors, red sponsors, are such huge sea sponges. There were a lot of them there. Sometimes fish live in them. In general, it is also interesting to examine it up close. They filter the water. It turns out through their outer walls and get all the plankton, useful particles from it, and actually already push back the filtered water. It is also interesting there that the huge stone surfaces were covered with an absolutely even layer, such as a carpet of sea, soft corals. These are colonies of microanimals that form into such beautiful, as if huge flowers. I didn't shoot much, because I was more focused on the diving process, but I saw something interesting every time. I will definitely take it off. Here is this black spotted pufferfish. He is so fat and not very active at all. Probably very businesslike and fearless. They are sometimes bright yellow in color, but here you see small dots on his body. This is what gives him such a name. And here I saw that my favorite marine life is flatworms. They are here always some super bright colors and very small in size, so they're hard to see at a certain depth. That is, well, we were lucky here. Unfortunately, there was no macro lens, just a GoPro. And it's interesting that they are so beautiful, but when they float, they are like an airy, like such a magic carpet. He waves this whole body, swimming from one place to another. They are called the green polyclay or turbellaria. This is such a squad of flatworms. This is one of their representatives. Well, there are also Nemo fish of an unusual yellow color. Yes, clownfish, Nemo fish. That's such a beautiful anemone they have. Well, and the needlefish, which I then thought was a seahorse. Well, it's a relative of the nearest seahorse. That's how it hid. They are also very sluggish and not very mobile. Well, here's another beautiful barrel sponge, too, so decorated with these sea lilies. In general, there is such a super combo, as if someone collected this bouquet. And here we also have these soft corals. They are very beautiful. I decided to shoot a little bit, because it's interesting that at a depth, they all seem to be of such a more regular shape, that is, all round, all branched, and all symmetrical.
The place where we were exhausted, the manta rays were not shown to us, and we are moving to the next point. It's not far here, about 20 miles. We anchor in the middle of the island of Botanta, and we'll just spend the night here. They say there is a waterfall, but I don't want to go there because I saw in the pictures, it's not very interesting there. There is a small stream, a river that runs deep there, and somewhere there it's all there. But it's enough for me to just look at the beauty of this world and spend the night, because we are going to Ayemi and the Ayemi Islands. This is our favorite island, which is located right opposite the sarong. And here we will spend some time standing already because we like it. And this is a temporary stop, well, just a beautiful place, and the anchor, by the way, is thrown here at almost 30 meters. The horror.
This is your life and you're the one who writes the story. Fate will take you where you steer your path to glory. No more waiting now, the time is here, it's real, it's now. Clocks keep ticking, who can tell how long they'll allow?
So it's time to move out from the central anchorage of the Botanta and move to the island of Ayemi. We're going to spend some time here because it's one of our favorite places. And now let me tell you a few words about the entry. Everything is quite simple here. There are a few miles that really need to be careful because they come from the north and from the south. And so such a snake has to go around them. Then we approach the anchorage and throw ourselves somewhere at 25 meters. You need to be very careful because everything will be very shallow nearby, and you need to decompose the chain in such a way that when you turn, you will not be stranded because from 25 meters to a mile, there is a very large shot. And here is our magnificent place where we stand. You can see now on the shooting that there is a shoal right in front of us. Here the depth goes from 25 to about 6, but this should be the point where you have a chain stretched, and you will have to throw enough on high water. Look how beautiful it is here. In general, this is the place where we will stand for more than a week, and we will have an incredible amount of underwater shooting. Dina is delighted because there are a lot of small underwater animals here, such as nudibranches, some sponges, and much more, which is really very cool. There is an abandoned house next to us. We don't know what it is, but there are no people on this island at all, so we will be here alone. And sometimes boats will pass by us because there is a small village somewhere 2 miles away from us. So here we are, a magnificent beach with a lot of local garbage. Let's see what kind of pyramids of Cheops are here. Maya. Let's see what lives in this house. Well, here it is. Throw a spinning from the shore, and maybe now let's fly into the Pivashka. Let's see what will be beautiful here. There is a lot of garbage here. In general, the whole of Indonesia is very dirty. If resorts are cleaned somewhere, then usually the coastline is like this, where people live. Of course it is not cleaned. We are standing not far away, by the way, 24 meters deep here. Beautiful. Palmoshki.
Islands rise in misty hues.
So, how do you Pusechka here? It's not really the coolest place here. But it's cool because the water is very smooth here, and, in principle, you can go ashore. Throw fish on spinning there, do something else so lazy. I assume your questions are what kind of spinning is this? That's the kind of spinning I have, ultralight, wobbler for local realities. In fact, I don't really care about the fish, I don't need it, but to throw it, just to occupy myself with something. Not standing on just not sitting on the shore and beer, so that there is some great activity, I don't know. Well, this is my entertainment, and here I had the previous spinning and this one. I think I caught only one barracuda. We threw it out. In general, I'm not much of a fisherman. It's just spending time on the shore, while Dina collects shells. And I decided to do this like this.
This is your life and you're the one who writes the story. Fate will take you where you steer, your path to glory. No more waiting, now the time is here, it's real, it's now. Clocks keep ticking, who can tell how long they'll allow. This is your life, and you're the one who writes the story. Fate will take you where you steer, your path to glory. No more waiting now, the time is here, it's real, it's now. Clocks keep ticking, who can tell how long they'll allow. How long they'll allow.
This place on the island of Yem is cool because it is very unexpected, and when we talked to other yachtsmen, they said, oh, there is nothing interesting under the water here, but in fact everything turned out to be completely wrong. They just looked at it in the wrong place.
As a result, we spent almost, probably, 3 weeks in total in M, because we really liked it here. And indeed, the reef turned out to be alive in the most unexpected places. Initially, before going to a place, we typically look at Google Mapsy, where there may have some reef. Unusual in this place, that all the places we foresaw that there is a reef on Google. The mist, there isn't. In other words, there was an absolutely modest dump.
Or rather, there was a reef there, but it wasn't alive. There was nothing there.
Yes, but in completely different places, there was the most wealth. But since I usually swim everywhere, and for a long time, that is, I eventually found the very corner where for many tens of meters, there was this super lively and absolutely not deep reef.
It was really waist deep there.
Well, yes, in some places he was waist deep. In some places, even on super low tide, he was directly naked. That is, it was necessary to be very careful there. As in a maze in such a reef, navigation took place. But the cool thing about this place is that I went there, for example, to all these reefs just swam from a boat. That is, I didn't need an ace here, for example.
In law distance.
Walk the path of dreams, break through each and every trial. Let no storm or loss take down your strength or steal your smile. Step with steady feet, despite the stumbles and the sighs. Leave behind the doubts and all the pointless cries.
By the way, we have not seen such an anemone yet. This is the first time when this is such a bright saturated blue color, and these fish in it, of course, are incredibly contrasting.
Some kind of diet she probably has is special here.
What can she eat blue?
I don't know.
These fish surgeons. Blue puncton. But the fish are red. In general, these fish are magnificent. We really like them because they are usually the same color as anemone, but here they are so bright on a blue background. Just super contrasting crucians.
Why are they usually the same color as anemone? Usually their anemones are just so pale. Some kind of sandy color.
Fish with the color yellow and fish.
Well, in general, there are a lot of other interesting things there, besides these fish too, we will show you now. For example, what do you think it is?
Elastic band for hair.
Here, no, it's not a hair scrunchie. It turns out to be eggs laid by a Spanish dancer. Spanish dancer is a very, very large underwater dancer, like Maddie's carpet snail.
But only it's a night thing, and we couldn't see it.
Yes, we have never seen him, but we have seen a lot of eggs.
Wow, wow, wow. What do we have here? Plants. Do you think it's a plant or a flower?
No, they are called, of course, as a flower, sea lilies or crinoids. This is a class of marine invertebrates of the echinoderm type. That is, this animal. Yes, and it is. I wonder what his structure is. In the center on top of the mouth, but with all these paws, which are super sticky, and in hooks. It picks up all sorts of microparticles of plankton from the water, and thus feeds. Sea lilies, they come in very different colors, and neon yellow, and burgundy, and such purple, almost blue, sometimes two-tone. Here, for example, it is so black with these yellow claws already. Here are the maroon ones of brick color. In general, completely different. And here, when I was swimming and looking under the corals, I saw such a little friend. It's a little turtle. He's still, well, this is about 30 centimeters, probably in length, and he was sleeping peacefully under a pebble hiding.
That is, he is not afraid when you approached him.
I think he was too sleepy.
Does he sleep during the day and walk at night?
I do not know how it happens with him, but at this moment, he was really asleep. It's amazing that this reef, so small in size, turned out to be so full of varieties of all sorts of different creatures and living things. That is, there are not only fish, but there are jellyfish, corals, actinus, and very, very many nudibranches. And here are such huge anemones with nema fish that are straight.
Clowns.
Clowns, yes, but it's not just clowns. These black ones with a dot also live there in Acton, by the way. And here are these striped beauties. No, not just them.
That is, there are still other fish that.
Yes, these are the black ones with dots, too. And, of course, there are a lot of Leonovs here. This, what is it called? And in Russian?
Krylotka.
Lionfish, yes. These fish. It's interesting that they very often hang their heads down. They are so attached to corals and are very stable in one place. I've seen whole families of them.
But in general, there is such a fish soup here on the reef. You swim, there are just millions of these fish here.
But these are our favorite ladies' selfies. They always swim a lot.
And others.
And the fry are hiding. Yes, that is, they like to hide in such branchy corals, because there they can quickly sneak away, and no one will catch them.
And they're sitting in the shade.
And in the shade, yes. Well, the fish are running away.
It's all at low tide. Now we have almost a new moon, so here everything is so washed ashore.
let's take this flight. Got something special, it's a breathtaking sight. Flying over islands where the waters are clear. Today we soar, darling, adventure is near. Look down below, the reef so bright. Captain Sergi leads us to new heights. From lush green jungles to sandy shores, we're here to show you there's so much more. In Indonesia, where the wonders never cease, we'll share with you this beauty and peace. Every mountain, every tree, these islands are pure poetry. Oh, friends, forever it's true.
But also on the sand, not only on the corals, sometimes you can find something very interesting, such as my favorite nudibranches. If you look closely.
Well, if you look closely, yes. I've always had a lot of time for all of this. And since I also collected shells in parallel, that is in principle, I also often spent time on the sand. And it turned out that this place, this here, we met the greatest species diversity of these kids' nudibranches. These are nudibranch. They have this crown on there, but this is their gills. They are usually very small in size. Somewhere there is an average of 2 to 3 centimeters, but in fact, they start from half a centimeter to 60 centimeters somewhere. Well, here we met mostly either very small or small. They are also such unhurried, bottom-dwelling animals. They tend to move very slowly and have a super bright color that protects them from predators and a thick layer of mucus that also helps them in their lives so that no one eats them.
So they're poisonous.
Well, some of them are a little poisonous, some are a little more, but in general, I understand that they are not dangerous for a person. There is such a weak mucus. Well, this handsome guy, for example, is called Gonia branchusca. This is such a small cyslic. It reaches 5 centimeters and is always very bright in color. That is, there is yellow, orange, and purple. And he has beautiful horns, and he has his own beautiful branchous ass.
Actually, there are a lot.
There are a lot of them. No, I've met a lot of them. This is one of the most common. Probably everything is fine in his life here. I filmed this particular baby a lot, and for a long time. And it's interesting that if you put the camera on and just walk away, he will crawl about his business, and then it looks very funny on acceleration. Like him, how to get a little bit of it.
Waves.
Waves. Yes, throws up, but he holds on to the ground tightly. Well, the next type of nudibranch, for example, here we have is the black-rayed Phyllidia. I do not know how they are called in Russian, but they also have such a common name. This is fright excess varnish, that is, cyslic scrambled eggs. He's bigger than all the other individuals we've met. It reaches, I think it is even said, that 6 centimeters, but I have seen them larger. And it is interesting that this kind of cesslag, it is often found in groups, that is, where there is one, there are necessarily several more. Such nudibranch live at a depth of 2 to 20 meters, but I met him at a depth of 1 meter, right where I anchored. And there they crawled, and there were several of them. And it's interesting that they live from 1 to 4 years, and the biggest danger for them, is water pollution, because they feed on sponges, and sponges need clean water. Well, here are such beautiful bright purple sponges we met while swimming. Of course, I always take off everything beautiful that I see, because you never know, suddenly it will come in handy.
And sponges are a filter, they pass water through themselves.
Yes, well, and here are some very beautiful clownfish of a bright red color, but as you can see, but as usual, in such pale yellow, not very remarkable anemones. Well, we met this one. It's called the crown torso. It's a starfish, very harmful to the reef, because it's just a terrible parasite. They are very tenacious, and eat live corals in such quantities that it becomes really dangerous, and in many places, they are directly collected and disposed of by divers. Here are some more parasites, also very harmful, and imported individuals all over the world. These are these krilatki. There are several of them here. They are very beautiful, but very dangerous for ecosystems because they eat the caviar of local fish in crazy quantities.
Up high over blue waves, island gems in sight. Captain German steers right, where the drone takes flight. Palms sway in the breeze, shadows dance on shore. Feeling wild and free, wanna explore more. Don't fly over islands in a sea so great, guided by the captain with a steady head. Palms sway in the blue waves, island gems in sight. Captain German steers right, where the drone takes flight. Where the drone takes flight. Sunrise paints the sky, golden hue so bright. From the clouds on high, chasing morning light. Coconuts and seashells, nature so divine. Cameras clicking stories, caught in perfect time. Drone flight over islands in a sea so grand, guided by the captain with a steady head. Drone flight over islands in a sea so grand, guided by the captain with a steady head. The drone takes flight with a steady head. The drone takes flight with a steady head. With a steady head.
Cold. Oh, it's cold. It's a cool beach that was bared on low island. There is no beach at all on high tide. Here the water comes right up to the trees. How to understand where the starfish is? That's so very simple. For example, here you look.
And this one, look at her.
Now she has paws. That's it. Let him sit.
See?
Yeah. We now come to the island. Here's our boat is. Here, of course, the place is very beautiful. Maybe they had a picnic.
I remember this diesel locomotive. There's a toilet somewhere else that's unfinished.
Dilapidated. This is what I understand this mangrove seed. Usually mangrove seeds look like this. That is, you see this here, it lies this size. But this is a mango monster. And then from these seeds it sprouts up like this. This is a mangrove bush. Beautiful. Look, people, this is all this bottom, and this is the bottom that goes up to this line and rises there. That is, this palm tree. That is still half in the water. Now, of course, the tides are crazy, and I think the tides are under 2 meters probably here.
Well, and here's another unidentifiable nudibranch. And either he laid eggs there, or something. And there were about 6 of them in one place. That is, they are not very beautiful, not very remarkable, but with some kind of white snot both in front and behind. In general,
What? He's very cool.
well, here they are. It seems to me they feed on these algae. Well, here's another beautiful view of sponges here we have.
And this is an octopus.
It's an octopus, yes. I accidentally saw him because, again, I looked into all the holes, but he never got out to say hello.
He hid. But it is here, by the way, Cory, which is considered the world disappeared.
Well, this is what we were told, in fact, in Papua New Guinea, that she was gone. But here in Indonesia, I met a lot of their shells in the gift shops, is also very common.
But the white ones are ugly, of course.
Yes, they are snow white. Interestingly, her mantle is pure black, and when you initially see it, it is completely covered with black.
And then it opens.
Well, if it's touch, patormoshit, she begins to hide in a shell and becomes egg. But look, here is another egg yolk, only a very small cub.
And here we have Patrick Star from SpongeBob.
Look, it was clearly written by a character from this particular type of starfish. He's so pot-bellied.
And here we have a sea cucumber. What a magnificent one.
Yes, he looks like an agua feather, as if he is so beautiful with dreadlocks.
Well, in general, the reef here is very beautiful, very magnificent. We really enjoyed being here.
Yes, it is interesting that this is the place that did not portend any special beauties at all, because, first of all, it is very close to the sarong, and in the sarong, there is a complete shit, dirt, garbage, and that's all.
But we've shown it before.
Yes, but it's just super close and so gorgeous. Well, and here is the most beautiful one that I met on this reef at all, a flatworm, called Batford's flat, or magic carp in the common people, but you will now see why it is so called. He is incredibly beautiful, small, and when he swims, it's just something wow. I've never seen such beautiful creatures before. It turns out that he lands somewhere and looks for food and stuff there. It feeds on small crustaceans or small marine invertebrates. That is, it has a fairly extensive diet, but it moves between places like this by swimming. That is, it does not crawl on the ground, it swims. It really looks like some kind of magic carpet. We're going to show you what it looks like approximately, but if it's good to shoot macro photography, of course we had GoPro, which does not directly convey the full spectrum of his beauty, but you see how he is in motion. It's just something incredible. It is usually up to 6 centimeters long. That is, I just met such an adult individual. They are found a lot of places, it turns out, but this is the only one I have met. Although they are both in Kenya and Thailand and the Solomon Islands and here in Indonesia. That is, it is a fairly common such mollusk.
That is, it looks like a Napanish dessert in my opinion, but just a Spanish dessert more.
Danish dessert is much bigger and specifically night, but I met this one on a cloudy day. It is interesting that really on cloudy days, there are a lot more of these nudibranchs around than on a sunny day. It's probably related somehow, I don't know.
They're just hot.
Well, maybe they don't like super bright lights, I don't know. But it's on cloudy days. It's just the right time to arrange a photo hunt for them. Sea cucumber or Galaturia, it's just now in motion. That is, you see how it collects sand from the bottom with its paws, filters out all sorts of microorganisms from it, and eats them. He eats apparently well, because look how big, fat he is.
But it's really huge. That is, when I saw it, I think what kind of cucumber is lying on the bottom, and then I looked closely, it also moves.
Yes, but they tend to move. It's interesting that when you put the camera on and record them, and then you speed it up a little bit, it turns out that he really moves. And here Suryaza saw this most dangerous cone. And you can't touch such cones with your hands. But it turned out that a crab lives in this cone.
Well, that's the end of our trip to Jampat. In total, we spent about 2 months on these magnificent islands. And now we are already moving towards Bali. You have already seen these videos in which we told you about the transition, and then we will tell you about the most popular place in Indonesia, the island of Bali. From the point of view of yachting, from the point of view of our view of what is happening here, because for me this is a new experience. Adina has already been here and she is well oriented here. Therefore, friends, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. You know what to do, like you, write comments, and we will cook something interesting for you further. And I think that in the near future, there will already be a technical page, so do not miss it. And this is where our graduation came to an end. I hope you liked the series of videos about Raja Ampat. That's it, friends, bye. Do you like it here?
Very generally, there's such a gorgeous reef here, although nothing foreshadowed, like we are in the depths and here, in short, a very rich reef. We filmed so many boring brunch, 4 types of nudibranches per reef, wow. And no one wanted to come here, I forced everyone.